Okay, chapter 4. Chapter 4 again is quite long. It's about an hour, 20-ish minutes or so. Most of it is made up of the crazy motorcycle minigame that you start off with, that you are seeing footage of in the background as I talk. This is basically based on the crazy motorcycle minigame, crazy motorbike minigame that was in the original one. You could play it at Gold Saucer. It was also part of the main story when leaving the Shinra HQ. So this chapter in general is more of a filler chapter. It builds on the backstory for Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs, which was completely missing in the original version. None of the characters really had a backstory as such. The majority of the game, this chapter is like that sort of stuff, so we should be able to get through it quite quick. So Cloud's mission here is to break into Jesse's house whilst they distract her mum in the front room whilst they're eating. Cloud will go in through the back after he sees a bunch of cats show up. Once he goes in, there's two doors to pick from. You pick the right hand side door and it goes into the bedroom of Jesse's father. Jesse's father, we find out just after this scene, was an engineer for Shinra. He's suffering from Mako poisoning basically, so he's completely out of it when we go into this room. Cloud's task when he goes in is to find the father's engineer card, which is just in his jacket pocket in his overalls. But it's interesting seeing Jesse's parents as well for the remake. Obviously, in the original version, they just didn't exist. So we're getting a little bit of extra character development for some of the side characters as well, which is really cool. I did enjoy doing this particular chapter.
Yeah.
So Jesse's idea is to break into this Shinra warehouse to get some better explosives for the next mission that Avalanche is going to go on. When we get there, we actually find that the place has mysteriously already been attacked. The guards that were on duty at the gate are already dead. Obviously Jesse's not done that. We don't find out during the main game who actually did that. I'm assuming we're going to find out in the DLC, because that's just like stuff you see in like trailers and stuff, so I'm guessing that's what's in the DLC. I've not played the DLC just yet. This section is basically just Cloud will cause a distraction. He will fight a bunch of Shinra soldiers, leading up to a boss fight with the soldier that we fight during the biker section. So yeah, here's said soldier. I think his name's Roach. Shows up. Yeah, his name's Roach. He shows up to help out basically because you beat him during the mini game. He shows up here as well to fight you. He's fairly simple boss. He will attack with sword attacks, some flame attacks. I do believe this is the first time that I do summon Ifrit as well. But yeah, basically it's just your general boss fight. There's nothing too much to say about it, really.
It's been a long time since I fought a duel out of the saddle.
See a little bit of fighting before we skip ahead to the end there's not really much that happens during this particular chapter. It's mostly like story related stuff, but there's not really much substance to it. It's like it's just like, oh yeah, here's the motorcycle thing, here's a bit about Jessie and her family, and then you go back to Sector 7. You can tell it's like a filler chapter. It's not really something that, I mean, yeah, as I said, it wasn't in the original game at all. None of these characters, well, Roach wasn't in the original game. Like Wedge and Biggs and Jessie were like, had no character development whatsoever. So this was really nice for their character development, but as I said, it's filler. It wasn't really necessary to add it in. So after successfully getting the explosives from the facility, the gang do go off to go back to Sector 7. Jessie has a plan to get back. It involves parachuting. Cloud has Wedge, Biggs takes Jessie. They parachute off down to Sector 7 because obviously Jessie's family lived above the plate, which brings an interesting point as well, in that later on when the plate gets dropped, I'm guessing it also drops everybody that was living on the plate as well. So yeah, does mean that Jessie's family dies with that, I guess, potentially. I don't know, it's never really explained much. But yeah, this is basically just the gang parachutes down to Sector 7. Now the really interesting part for this chapter, Tifa shows up after Cloud's gonna sleep to talk to Cloud about helping out with
Maybe Marlene won't be so scared of you
the next job. I think it's either helping out or she's just talking about the next job. But basically what happens here is once Tifa opens the door, you find there's lots of the ghosts
probably both get some sleep, yeah?
flying around. Yeah, she should open the door any second though.
Good night, Tifa.
This kind of gives you a bit more feeling for what the ghosts are. We will fight a bunch of them, and then there's one that's like super hard. Oh no, it's they kind of show up whilst Cloud's asleep. Okay, misremembered. But yeah, these ghosts show up. We still don't entirely know what they are or who they are or why they're there, but because of what happens in this section, it does end up like Jessie gets injured and isn't able to take part in the.
What's wrong?
There you go, Tifa's there now. Isn't able to take part in the next job, so Cloud ends up taking her place.
When those things showed up and came after us.
The others?
But yeah, Cloud and Tifa rush back to the bar to meet up with Jessie and Barrett. Jessie gets injured, can't take part in the next job, and Cloud takes her place, which is basically what actually happens during original Final Fantasy VII instead of what was going to happen. So you kind of get the idea here that, like, if you played the original game, that these ghosts are trying to make sure that the timeline is how it should be. So it was a really interesting concept. But yeah, I mean, in general, that's pretty much it for chapter 4. After that, they go up to the train station to get the train to go to which sector? Sector 5 reactor? I think it is. But yeah, Chapter 4 is a really neat filler chapter, but that's pretty much it. Like, there's not really much else to it. I enjoyed the biking minigame that gets introduced a lot earlier. It's a lot better in the remake than it was in the original one. It's a lot easier to get to grips with the bike and whatnot.
More of them?
So yeah,
We're running out
on
of time.
to
Other way.
the next chapter, chapter
Over here.
5.